Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. And today we're going to be talking about mom guilt. Mom guilt, dad guilt, parent guilt. A lot of us parents do feel guilty about time spent away from the family while we're working. By way of introduction, my name is Chioma Moma. Thank you so much for joining me as we talk about this topic. One of the aims I have and why I put these videos together is to allow us parents to achieve what we want in our lives without missing out on the important task of parenting, raising children, which is really a primary role that we play once we do have these children. So let's talk about mom guilt. How can we stop it? How can we prevent it? How can we ensure that we're there for our children as much as possible? Here are a few tips. The truth is that, like we said before when we spoke about work-life balance, it's not easy to juggle all the tasks that we have as adults. We want to be at our best in our business, we want to hit those targets at work, but we have to be there for our children. We have to raise well-rounded adults, well-rounded children who will grow up into well-rounded adults and be upstanding citizens of this world. So what do we do? How do we do? Here are a few of my tips to help us, to show that even while we're trying to do the right thing, to raise our children well, and we do not feel too guilty at the same time. Number one is look at those prompts. Why are you feeling guilty? Maybe there's something you should do differently. Don't ignore the prompts. Okay? Mommy guilt is universal. Everyone feels bad at some point or the other. But don't eat yourself up. Rather, look at it as a way of checking. Is there something I should be doing more of? Should I actually be spending more time with my child? Is there something I should be dropping off in my schedule so I'm spending more time with my child? Don't allow mom guilt to be just something that is just there pinching you and just wave it away. No, let it be a way to give yourself some internal checks and see what you can do better. And like they say in pidgin, at all, na im bad pass. So what are you doing wrong? Really, that's really number one, in solving mom guilt. Is there something you can change in the time you spend with your children? What are those things making you guilty? Can you work on them? If it's time with your child, can you see how you can spend more time? Is that possible? If you feel bad about missing all their school events, can you find a way of trying to at least attend a few, if not at all? If you cannot go for the school event, what are the next best options? That brings me to number two, your support system. One way of dealing with mom guilt is by having a good support system, okay? So if you know you cannot be at every event, maybe your spouse should be. If your spouse cannot be there, find a way. Like I always say, whatever is important to you, you will find a way to deal with it. And if at the end of the day, it's just not working out, have someone close who can stand in for you. You can never be replaced by anybody else. A parent is a parent, but still, it will make a difference when your child sees someone in the audience who is there just for him or her. So find a way to make it work. Another thing you should do is to surround yourself with the right people. Your parenting village, your parenting network. You have to have the right people around you because there's some people who you have in your network who will end up just making you feel bad about everything. Maybe you have a friend who, for instance, is breastfeeding. She breastfed all her children. Someone like me, my kids are all breastfed for like 6 months, exclusive. I did 2 years. Don't have that kind of person be there to criticize you. Let the person encourage you. I have friends who have not been able to breastfeed for whatever reason. If you're able to breastfeed, I support you. If you're not able to breastfeed, I support you. So if you have someone who is constantly making you feel less than enough, always criticizing you, always putting you down, always making you feel like you're a bad mother, then maybe you should check it. Is that person actually just being overly critical? Is that person a negative person? You do not need toxic people in your network. You do not need to have a circle of people who are making you feel worse than you already feel. There's a lot of pressure in life. So you need to look at the people around you and make sure you have people around you who are actually there to support and encourage you and to make your life easier as a parent. Very, very important. Another thing you need to do to realize that it's not all about the money. Many times we're working hard because we want to provide a good life and a good future for our children. But pause to think, am I not taking up more than is necessary? During the pandemic, I got to spend a lot of time with my children and they would tell you that they enjoyed it immensely. But at the same time, they realize that I have to go to work. So there has to be a balance. At an early stage in life, I decided to take certain kinds of jobs because I wanted to be there for my children. Some people don't have that choice, but if you're able to have that choice, maybe you might earn less, but it might be worth exploring so you can spend more time with your children. If your husband has a very good paying job, or if you can afford to take something that, even if it's just a temporary pay cut, but it will give you more time with your children, it might be worth considering. Because at the end of the day, what's important to your child is your presence. They need your presence more than any material thing, more than your presence. Presence over presence. So think about it. At the end of the day, the money is good. Yes, your children are enjoying those holidays. They're enjoying all the things the money are buying, but they need you to be there with them. Don't send them off on holidays alone because you're working. Spend quality time with them. Trust me, they will appreciate it. Make every day count. That's another point, another way to help deal with mom guilt. Every day you're with your children, every minute you're with your children, make it count, make it important, make them savor it. Quality is important. If your children get to enjoy quality time with you, even when the quantity is reduced, they will get to appreciate it. Also, make sure you do not miss out on the important dates. Like I said in the video on work-life balance, those dates are important. Birthdays, important recitals, graduations. Make sure you have them scheduled early enough. And if you are able to prioritize and make sure you do your work, there's no boss that will tell you you should miss your child's graduation or you should miss an important school event. It will be an extremely difficult boss that will make you miss any of those events. So if you're doing your work, you're effective, your game at work is tight, there is no reason why you should miss those events. Have them scheduled ahead of time and plan for them. Make sure you don't have any work outstanding. And also, something that really helps is having a co-worker who can help you, cut some slack for you sometimes. There have been situations where I have to be away from work to attend to the family. But I have someone in the office who I have a very good rapport with, who is able to help me. So if I have an outstanding assignment and I've tried my best to finish it up and there's something urgent that I need to deal with the family, I can call upon her and say, please help me handle this. And I do the same thing for her as well. That's why it's important to have a cordial relationship with your co-workers, male and female. Because sometimes when it matters the most, they will be able to say, you know what, go on, madam, go on, oga, I know what to do for you, don't worry, I have you covered. So very, very important. Another thing that you need to do is put down your badge. Which badge, you may ask? That badge that says Super Mom. Some of us want to do everything, want to be there for every situation possible. And it's not always feasible. That's why we have mom guilt sometimes. You want to be at every school event, as many as possible. The important ones, you need to be there. But there's sometimes where you can tell yourself, you know what, I was at this last parent day, this particular one, it might not be critical. I might miss it. Maybe my husband should go, or my sister can go. Now, do not get me wrong. School events are very important. But there's some things that you can say, you know what, for this particular one, if I miss it, it's not such a big deal. If you know what's important to your child, for instance, maybe they're on the football team, and you need to be there for their football practice or their football, maybe it's a big tournament. You can afford to say, okay, maybe I'm going to miss the practice, but that major tournament, I will not miss it. You know your schedule. Be true to yourself. Okay? Also, in the home, it's the same thing. Some of us want to do everything, every activity, every social activity, every assignment at work. Why must you be able to do every assignment at work? Sometimes you can say no. Some things are optional. If you're a super worker, you know how to work well, the truth is that you'll get more tasks thrown at you. It's okay for you to say sometimes, no, sir, I have a lot on my plate. I can't do this assignment at this time. So the power of being able to say no, put down that badge that makes you want to do everything and say, no, for this particular task, I have to drop it. I have to actually say, I can't do this one. It will give you more time to spend with your family and you won't have to feel so guilty. Some of us are high achievers or overachievers or super achievers or high flyers. That's all well and good. But there's some time that you can actually say, you know what, my plate is full, it's okay, let someone else do this next assignment. The same thing with our social life. You must not be in every committee, you must not be in every organization, and even if you are, you mustn't be the chairman or the chairlady. I've had to turn down being a PTA chairman because I just knew that, look, with all the things I had to do, being a PTA chairman would have taken up so much of my time and taken from my time as a family woman and from my time at work. But I still served as as the treasurer, which I found like a less it was easier for me to do at that point in time. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being the PTA. If you have the time to do it, by all means, please go ahead. But be true to yourself and know what you can do at every point in time. Know what you have time for, because the truth is that you have to make some sacrifices. It might be your rest. You don't want it to be your children. Another thing that you need to do is to find ways to improve. Like I said in the first point, that guilt you might be feeling might actually be a prompt. Maybe there's something you're doing wrong. So find ways to improve. Find those little things that you can remove. Maybe it might be just like I said, spending less time on social media, spending less time socializing. It could be something that you could just say, oh, I don't need to do this. Find ways to improve the quality of time you spend with your children. Find time to prioritize and spend more time with those gifts that God has given you. And then the last point, which will help you eliminate or minimize mom guilt, don't judge yourself. Don't judge yourself. We are all dealing with this thing. The truth is that as long as you're true to yourself and you know you're doing your best for your children, you will get it right. Just keep on being consistent, keep on spending time with them, and most of all, pray. Ask God to give you wisdom as you raise these children so that you don't have to miss out on too much. You may miss some things, minimize what you miss. The children will appreciate you for it. Thank you.